Okay, so convertible debt or convertible notes, very popular, very useful, great for tech companies, startup companies, companies that aren't really buying into, actual real estate. For instance, real estate's more often just an equity-based deal, but I mean, this is very, very useful. It's really the tie-in between a loan and an equity deal, right? So I'll give you an example here. You're asking for money. So let's say you're saying, you need 500,000. A good example of this, by the way, was Uber. They actually started their company with 500,000, as far as funding was concerned. Would have been great to have a convertible note at that point, right? You'd give them 500 grand, at a time when it was fledgling, and look at Uber now, right? You'd be rich. Stinking rich, I think. But in regards to a $500,000 loan as an example, let's say the term is 2 years. You've asked an individual, an entity, to give you $500,000, and they're saying to you, I'll give it to you, over 2 years, and I want a 5% or 6% interest rate, or 4%, whatever the case is. So you've got this 2-year time frame. All right. In that 2 years, you're having to pay every month. You're having to pay some money down on, you're not paying the debt off, you're paying interest at this point, right? Because what's going to happen is at the end of that 2-year period, it's going to trigger an event, and that event's going to be the conversion between this debt-based instrument into equity. All right. So at that point, it will come back in, and they'll take an equity position based on the agreed contract. So, and most of the time when this happens, is the idea for it is that in this time frame, whilst they've lent you this money, this working capital for you, your business should have been going up, right? You should be making money, right? You should be in a position where at the end of that 2 years, when they take that equity position, they're getting something of value. And when they do take that equity position, they're buying it at a valuation that was agreed here, not here. So when they're buying it at an agreed valuation at this point, at a certain discount against whatever valuation this is. All right. So it can get very complex in terms of, to be honest, it's one of those kind of contracts where it's really down to negotiation. It's not like the plug and play. There's some standardized templates out there, but the fact is, you can go back and forth with someone in terms of what they're going to get at the end, when it comes to this. So, let's just talk about some of the reasons why you should. Some of the basics, some of the most obvious, whether you need, so let's just get this back to blue. Okay. So if you need a simpler option to grow and get value and value the business later. So with equity, you have to have a valuation, right? So if I'm going to say I'm going to sell 1 million shares in my business today, I need to value each share. I need to value my company, right? So if there's no way for me to actually value it, let's say I'm a tech startup. I've got an idea for a new app, or I want to build something that's right now it doesn't exist. It's going to take a while to build. So there's nothing available. All right. In that situation, I can't really value, it's kind of hard for me to value the company. And if I can throw a number at it, but how do I really qualify that number? It's kind of very difficult. So in a very simple solution is to say either go for a loan or say, listen, it's going to be a convertible note. We've got this great business idea. It's going to grow. You should buy it now, give us some money now. And then at 2 years or a year or 3 years from now, we will then revalue it. And then of course we'll have a conversion at that point where you have equity, you'll have stake in the company. So it's a very good solution for that. So why it's difficult to value, when it's difficult to value your company. And, it could be better for you, right? Because it's not just for you. You could be, of course, for yourself. You're not giving away any, you're protecting your entity, right? You're not giving away any shares or any real equity at the moment. But then equally, for the investor, there's pros and cons on both sides, right? So from the investor or the person lending you the money, they're probably going to want to see where you are in 2 years. Like, hey, look, if you're going to be super big, if we're looking at the Uber example, 2 years from that first injection of 500 grand and they grew to however many million, 80 million or 800 million or 8 billion, whatever the case or whatever valuation they had. Fact is, you'll be better. It's better for you to essentially just wait to have that valuation, because really this is again, someone buying into you and your concept. You've pitched them on the deal, the design of it, the structure, its potential, its capability of scaling, and how you intend to deploy that strategy. That's what they're buying. They're giving you money based on that pitch, right? So it's really, okay, let's see how well you can do. And then I can say, pull the money out. So there's a couple of things to consider. There's going to be interest every month. So it's not just like an equity one. This is not performance based. Although when they convert to equity later, it is. But in the first instance, when they're giving you that money, the reason why you're enticing them is because you're probably saying, hey, I'm going to give you this 7% interest every single month on the money that you gave me. When the note does convert, you will end up giving up equity, and you'll probably be doing it at a discount. All right. So that's the idea, right? So whoever's giving you the money now wants a good deal. Okay. So in 2 years' time, when it comes for that valuation, they want to be able to buy these new higher value shares at a lower price point, right? They want a discount. So you're giving up a lot more of your company for less money at that point. So that's really important to consider. And of course, there's multiple triggers. I didn't mention this, multiple triggers for when your conversion can take place. So we've got this little, this is your 1 year, your 12-month period. You think that that's all you have, but any time in this period, if you were to say, for instance, take in a new if you were to sell equity or get a new injection of capital, that could be a triggering event, where a conversion takes place, where it converts to equity. And you start having this conversation. Or it could be you meet the time. It hits the time, the 12 months, that term, the end of term date, and that would do it. It could be anything. It could be you defaulting on certain interest payments. That would do it. It could be the company going into a distress situation or going into a bankruptcy situation. Again, that can happen too. So lots of different triggers for why they can pull the loan or convert to equity, right? So things to consider. Again, this isn't meant to be a deep dive into, every way you can raise capital. I think that deserves its entire training course. Frankly, I think it'll be way longer than this one too. I think there's books and books and books, and there's entire university, college, classes based on just how to do this. I don't think I would do it any justice trying to do it really quickly. But I think as far as the general understanding of what direction you should go, in regards to your business, it's either going to be equity, loans, or it's going to be a convertible note. So look at the other people in your industry. Look at what they do to build their businesses. I mean, obviously for tech, a lot of tech companies, they do this, right? So if it's Facebook, or other equivalents of like these social media networks, what do? Well, they took a loan initially. It was convertible equity, because later on, both the entity itself, the company, wants to be able to check what value are we going to be at? Can we just buy these guys out? Because our business is way too valuable for us to be giving out equity at this point. Or equally for the investors, it's an opportunity for them. It's, A, I'm going to get paid back, but B, wow, if this company is going to be fantastic and huge, I want to be able to have a chunk of that at a great price point. So there's lots of benefits to why it works with the tech industry. But it does work with anything, and because it's the most flexible, kind of way to raise capital. So definitely take that away with you. Think about that. And as we go through the next stages or the next areas of this module, which is essentially finding out, making sure you can control your distribution, your pipeline, the way your channels are pulling in either money as investments or selling your products or your services for you, how to find them, how to keep them working, how to keep them snowballing. This is going to be really interesting. It's going to be really important for you to have as your basis, as your foundation, how you're going to build your business. Okay. So 2 things. How do you build a business? I think I'll say this. The truth behind real massive action in business is it's how fast can you raise capital and how fast can you sell? Operations tend to take care of themselves. If you've got enough money to start with and enough money coming in from new business, the operations will fix themselves. They'll self-regulate, because there's too many people involved. There's too many interests there. Humans have a habit of getting together and making things work. And we'll discuss that a little bit in more detail later, but that is really where you want to be. So you're not losing your head in operations. Anyway, we'll see you in the next section, and we'll start talking about the nitty-gritty details to do with making sure your contracts are all good.